Have you ever seen a sea of bright red berries floating on water? That's what happens at cranberry farms. Today, we're going to discover why cranberries can float like little boats, how farmers use water to pick millions of berries super fast, and the amazing machine that swirls them all into one big pile. By the end, you'll know the clever secret behind those beautiful red cranberry oceans. Welcome to Goalie's Pip Academy. Let's start with something you might not know. Cranberries don't grow in water. Nope, they actually grow on low vines, kind of like a carpet on the ground. These vines spread out across huge fields called cranberry bogs. The berries hang on the vines just like grapes on a grapevine, but way, way closer to the dirt. So if cranberries grow on dry land, why do we always see those beautiful pictures of bright red berries floating in water? Well, that's the clever part. And it all starts with understanding something super cool about cranberries themselves. Here's the secret. Inside every single cranberry, there are tiny pockets of air. Think of it like this. If you've ever seen a beach ball, you know it floats because it's filled with air, right? Well, cranberries are kind of like tiny natural beach balls. They have 4 little air chambers inside them. These air pockets make cranberries lighter than water, and when something is lighter than water, what happens? It floats. Let me show you how this works. Imagine you're holding a cranberry in your hand. It feels solid, right? But if you could shrink down really, really small and peek inside that cranberry, you'd see something amazing. You'd see these little empty spaces, like tiny rooms filled with air. Those air pockets take up about 25% of the cranberry. That's 1/4 of the whole berry. So even though cranberries have juice and seeds and skin, they also have enough air inside to make them float like champions. Time for our first quiz. Multiple choice question. Why do cranberries float? A. They're plastic. B. They have air pockets inside. C. They're filled with helium. D. Farmers add floaties. The answer is B. They have air pockets inside. Those 4 little air chambers inside each cranberry make them lighter than water.
Hey, you're watching Goalie's Pip Academy, where we teach about science, geography, history, everything about the whole world. If you want to watch these classes with no ads, no distractions, go to getgoalie.com.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, cranberries float. So what? Well, this floating trick is exactly what makes cranberry harvesting so smart and so fast. A long time ago, farmers used to pick cranberries by hand. Can you imagine? They would bend over and pick each berry one by one. Their backs would hurt, their fingers would get tired, and it would take forever. A cranberry bog can be as big as a football field or even bigger. Picking millions of berries by hand? That would take weeks and weeks. But then, farmers had a brilliant idea. They thought, hey, if cranberries float, what if we brought the water to them? And that's exactly what they did. They created a whole new way to harvest cranberries, and it's called wet harvesting. Here's how wet harvesting works. When the cranberries are ripe and ready to pick, usually in September or October, the farmers flood the entire field with water. They pump water from nearby ponds until the whole cranberry bog is covered. The water can be about 6 inches to 2 feet deep, kind of like a shallow pool. Now, remember those vines where the cranberries are hanging? They're all underwater now. But here's where it gets cool. The farmers use special machines called water reels, or sometimes people call them egg beaters, because they kind of look like giant egg beaters. These machines have long metal teeth that gently comb through the water. As the water reels move through the flooded bog, they shake and knock the cranberries off the vines. Boom, boom, boom. Thousands of cranberries come loose. And because of those air pockets we talked about, what do all those cranberries do? They float right up to the surface. Within minutes, the whole bog transforms into this incredible sea of red. It looks like someone spilled millions of rubies all over the water. It's one of the most beautiful sights in all of farming. Quiz time again. True or false? Farmers flood cranberry fields to make harvesting easier. What do you think? The answer is true. Flooding the fields is way easier and faster than picking each berry by hand. Smart, right? Okay, so we've got all these floating cranberries. Now comes one of the coolest parts of the whole process. The farmers use something called a boom. A boom is like a long floating fence that they push through the water. Picture a really long pool noodle, but way bigger and stronger. As the boom moves, it pushes all those floating cranberries ahead of it, kind of like when you use your hands to push bath toys across the bathtub. All the cranberries start bunching together, forming a bigger and bigger group. The farmers keep pushing the boom until all the cranberries are gathered into one corner of the bog. Now here's where the really amazing machine comes in. Once all the cranberries are pushed into one area, the farmers use a special machine that creates a whirlpool effect. This machine has spinning parts that make the water swirl around and around in a circle, like when you spin your spoon in your hot chocolate. The swirling motion pulls all the cranberries together into one tight, spinning group. It looks like a cranberry tornado on water. The cranberries get packed tighter and tighter by this swirling water. And then, the farmers use a conveyor belt or a big vacuum pump to suck up all those cranberries and move them onto trucks. The conveyor belt is like a moving sidewalk that carries the cranberries from the water up into big wooden boxes or trucks. It's super efficient. From start to finish, a crew of workers can harvest an entire bog in just 1 or 2 days using this flooding method. Compare that to weeks of hand-picking. The water does most of the heavy lifting. The machines do the gathering, and the farmers can harvest way more cranberries in way less time. Time for our last quiz. Multiple choice question. What does the machine do to gather cranberries? A. Scoops them with a net. B. Creates a whirlpool to swirl them. C. Freezes the water. D. Blows them with wind. Which one? The answer is B. Great job. Cranberries have 4 tiny air pockets inside them that make them float. Farmers flood their fields with water during harvest time, and special machines knock the cranberries off the vines. Because they float, all the cranberries rise to the surface, creating that beautiful red ocean. Then, farmers use booms to push all the floating cranberries together, and a special machine creates a whirlpool that swirls them into a tight group. Finally, conveyor belts lift the cranberries out of the water and into trucks. Those stunning red cranberry oceans you see in pictures? Now you know the whole story. It's science, engineering, and really smart farming all working together. Next time you drink cranberry juice or eat cranberry sauce, you'll know exactly how those berries got from a flooded field to your table.
My mind is blown! Where can I learn more about these videos? Oh yeah, getgoalie.com. There's no ads, there's no junk, just cool stuff for kids and a dedicated tablet. Check it out, getgoalie.com.